Hello, everybody. Ella J here for a wrestling gal. And for the first time ever, I have my good friend, Ross Sapp of Fightful. How are you today?
I am lovely. How are you?
I am so good. It's been a long time since we've done anything together on screen. Obviously, you're one of my besties, depending on the day, I should say. But you are obviously have a multitude of knowledge, and I love doing prediction shows, especially where it's something like Forbidden Door, where you have all these different companies from CMLL, Stardom, AEW, New Japan. There's going to be a lot of names here. So far, at the time of recording this, it is Tuesday before Forbidden Door. We have 9 matches confirmed, but I must say, not even all those 9 matches have all the competitors confirmed. So there's a lot of uncertainty. We'll probably have 5 new matches announced by the time this comes out, by the time Forbidden Door comes around. But nonetheless, we are here today to give you our predictions for the card as it stands right now. We got 9 matches confirmed. Where do you even want to start, Sean? There's a lot of uncertainty here, I feel like.
There is a lot of uncertainty, and it's largely because of the G1 and the
Yeah.
show that and how that led into everything. But yeah, there definitely is a lot of uncertainty around this.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest one that a lot of people, it's not so much the match itself, but the competitors in the lights out steel cage match, especially Will Ospreay's team, because a lot of them are seemingly injured. And so a lot of us are wondering how that match is going to go. So I kind of wanted to start there because it's one of the most recently announced matches. I'm obviously talking about the steel cage lights out match between Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Darby Allin, and the Golden Lovers are taking on the Death Riders, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. Now, ironically, I feel like out of everybody on Osprey's team, Darby Allin is probably the most healthy for the first
Yeah,
time
which
ever.
is insane to think of. And I mean, when you look at the rest of the lineup, like Gabe Kidd is probably injured as well. But like so many of the guys on that side are banged up or were taking time off. Like
Yeah.
they unceremoniously revealed Omega and Ibushi to the point to where Ibushi was like, "Well, I'm in this match. All right, I guess. Got a new deal, so sure, why not?" Um, that being said, I think the baby face has got to win this. I think this further accelerates the death of the Death Riders, which has been around for like over 3 years at this point because they were the Blackpool Combat Club before. I think it's just time.
Man, I don't know. This is probably the one I'm the most uncertain about. I will say though, I think my favorite thing going on in AEW is the Young Bucks right now. I've always been a Young Bucks fan, but I'm especially loving them kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. Them super kicking Justin Roberts, them coming out to jobber entrances, basically just getting treated kind of like nobodies has been hilarious, but they're still giving it their all in the ring. I don't know. I mean, Kenny is coming off a loss, so I would make sense for him to bounce back. He doesn't often lose twice in a row, so that would be one. And especially if you're bringing in somebody like Hiroshi Tanahashi, who isn't he on his retirement tour right now? Is
Yes.
that so? I guess for that reason, I will swing the baby faces as well. But a part of me is like the Death Riders just lost everything. The Young Bucks just lost everything. Are they going to lose some more? It would. I'm just surprised this also isn't a blood and guts. I'm not sure if we're even going to get that this year, but them choosing a lights out steel cage is kind of interesting too.
I'm also interested in what kind of steel cage because like
Mm,
is it going to be like the War Dogs cage match in New Japan where they got the little fence around the
yeah.
outside? Because how are you going to fit that many people in there? They could have done like Anarchy in the Arena or something like that for
Hmm.
this, and I think it would have worked well. But I think that the reason of doing this is to kind of limit the bumps for a lot of these guys
Yeah.
while also spreading out some of the big spots. Like I know what's going to happen. Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to do a high fly flow off this cage, and then I'm going to report Wednesday that like 6 people aren't cleared to compete. And that's just the way it'll work.
Yeah, because Will has the neck issue. Kenny is still bouncing back for diverticulitis. Ibushi didn't he have a shoulder and ankle problems? Is in
Said a lot of stuff.
Tanahashi's knees? Is it that he was having?
Tanahashi's got old, is what he's got, and Gabe Kidd had a hyperextended knee as well. So
Somehow Darby Allin is the most healthy on his team. Um, although that might change after this match depending what they do. But I think for the sake of I think the story too, it would be more fun to see the Young Bucks just really reach rock bottom too. And plus it's Tanahashi's kind of last in the UK. Kenny just lost. He needs to bounce back with the win. I think I am swinging the baby faces winning here too as well.
Yeah,
But
that's the way I'm going.
Ooh, but speaking of, I guess, Kenny Omega, we'll talk about the guy that he lost to at the last pay-per-view. Kazuchika Okada is going to be defending his unified championship against Swerve Strickland. This is an interesting spot because Swerve is not going after the AEW World title. He's going after the unified title. So people feel like he should have gold, but also Okada has like rarely, if ever, lost in I think he's really only lost in like tag team competitions and then obviously like the Continental Clashes Classic. So it's not often that he loses. So this one, I'm kind of swinging either way. I feel like it's too soon though for Okada personally to lose the unified title, especially after he just got it. So I think simply for that, I'm leaning Okada, but it's Swerve Strickland. You can't count him out.
I'm going Okada here because I think they're like when they set up that angle last week about
Yeah.
Swerve's injury, I think there's some truth to that. AEW does a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
things to like plant seeds and stuff like that with injuries, and I think that's probably what's going on here.
Oh yeah, because he did say that he got checked out by medical, but he's pushing through it. So maybe it could be an angle to write him off TV and so he can like properly heal. I don't know. That would be
That's what I
something,
think.
especially too, because Okada does have the Don Callis family in his corner. Um Strickland just has Prince Nana right now. All of his other really allies are gonna be competing on this card, so I don't even know if he's going to have anybody else. Whereas Okada has the Don Callis family, so I didn't even think about the injury angle. This could be a way to write him off of TV. Um, so I think I'm going to go Okada
And
as well.
Okada wrote Omega off for a little while too,
It's
so he can put
true.
that feather in his cap. I would have
Mhm.
him keep doing that. Like if Osprey needs to take more time off, I'd have Okada write him off too. I would
Mhm.
have him just keep doing that.
Oh God, I hope these guys, I just hope they're okay. Everybody seemed, not everybody, but a lot of these guys heading into this seem to be really injured, and especially going into the steel cage match, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Feel like you're gonna be
Yep.
reporting that like half of this locker room is out with injury after this. We obviously don't wish that ever, but it
No, I
just
hope
makes me a
not.
little
But
nervous.
it's a sad reality after AEW pay-per-views that happens a lot.
We also have the AEW Women's Championship. Timeless Tony Storm going against the ROH Women's Champion Athena with Tony's title on the line. I don't even remember if they ever faced off in WWE. They might have in NXT. I don't even know, to be honest with you. But this is definitely the first time big match they're getting on an AEW stage. Athena obviously won the Women's Casino Gauntlet. Should she win, she'll have two titles around her waist. Uh, my question is, if Tony gets past Athena, who really else is there for her to beat? Is kind of my question. Technically, we haven't gotten Tony and Jamie yet since Jamie came back, but I don't know where Jamie is. So right now, I'm just looking at Tony versus Athena. Where's your head at?
So the history of Tony and Athena, they were in war games against each other.
Yes.
They teamed together in NXT one time. They have teamed together a few times in AEW, and they were in a fatal four way with Britt and Serena
Right.
at Arthur Ashe. Because yeah, so they've done a few things, but never had a one on one.
Yeah.
To me, Athena has been such a hit on the roster that I think that's something that you can't eliminate the possibility of. Um, However, Tony Storm, like a month after beating Mercedes, I'm like, okay, well, she is the hot hand. And I would actually kind of like it if they, like how I mentioned Okada writes people off.
Yeah.
I want to see Mercedes start to slowly lose all of her titles right now.
Yeah.
And then after that, Athena loses her ROH title after losing to Tony Storm as well. And it'd be like almost like the curse of Tony Storm because you can certainly bring up another woman that a lot of people point to and say, well, she ain't doing too hot in NXT right now. after losing to Toni Storm.
Yeah.
So I think that the curse of Toni Storm could be like a nice angle that they run with as well.
I do like that too. That's an interesting theory. I obviously Mercedes is going to have to lose all her titles at some point. She did just lose her really big one to Mercedes. I mean, that's another match we'll get to, but I think she's going to bounce back with the win at Forbidden Door. I'd be surprised if she lost.
Yeah.
But talking about Toni and Athena, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of over the like double, triple champions a little bit. I feel like there's a lot of people floating around locker rooms that have multiple titles. So I kind of want to keep that a little bit separate. I'm very excited for this match. I should make that very clear. But I kind of want Athena to finally get a story, a true contender to defeat her for the ROH Women's Championship before she even gets to potentially winning AEW gold. So I think once you separate her from Ring of Honor, then I feel like I can really get into her potentially holding AEW gold. So I think for that, plus like you said, like Athena losing on a main stage maybe sets her off to set up a story for her to lose that ROH Women's Championship. I think is a great setup to do that. And if she's gonna lose to anybody, I mean, Timeless Toni Storm is the person to do it. The question
Very
is then,
clearly their top person and someone they
yeah,
can bank on.
absolutely. And then the question is though, who beats Toni Storm? That's another question for another day. Go
I
ahead.
have the answer. I have the
Oh,
answer.
oh God. Okay.
TBD is the answer. Because the
Yes.
answer is nobody right now, because she is so clearly the top person. To
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like Gunther with the IC title. It was like Gunther with the NXT UK title. It was
Mm-hmm.
like Asuka with the NXT title and Roman Reigns with the world title. Right now, like this is what you build to, is what you have
Mm-hmm.
accomplished, is you have someone who has so very clearly set themselves apart in ring as a character that you're just like, okay, well, it's theirs until somebody shows you that they can take it. I do think there are some promising options. Like Queen Aminata has really made the most out of every single opportunity that she has gotten. Tekla is a
Tekla.
person
Yeah.
who, like, if you listened to fans in Japan, they'd be like, Tekla, really? Like, of course she looks great, but
Mm-hmm.
she hasn't had like great matches. But you look at her and you're like, well, clearly she's going to translate to American
She's
wrestling
got that
TV really
charisma
well.
too, that I think can
Yeah,
match Toni.
she was always going to be someone that worked out really well. And you never know who can reemerge. There's always people like Thunder Rosa was one of the most over wrestlers, period, at one point.
Yeah.
Like Britt Baker can pop up at some time. Who knows what the hell she'll do? But you have people like that. Jamie Hayter has been off TV for a long time. She was really over at one point. You never know what that thing might be that gets somebody way over, because a couple years ago we were talking about Toni Storm and her like 80s rocker gimmick thing kind of being tired and played out, and now she's got one of the best gimmicks in wrestling history.
Now I'm wondering because now granted we've had this match before. Is there a chance that you think Billy Starks turns on Athena, I guess, again to set up the final match between Athena and Billy with Billy beating Athena?
Yeah, I think it's always supposed to have been Billy. I think that's who Athena has always wanted to
Hmm.
lose it to. No creative control there.
Yeah,
I think, honestly, if Athena had creative control, she probably would have lost the title a long time
it's
ago
true.
and been on Dynamite. But I think it's long been Billy as the person.
Hmm. We do have Mina Shirakawa seems to be back in action or at least cleared to, so she's another person that could maybe even the odds for Tony. But there's a lot of possibilities here, but I think we're both in agreement of Tony Storm retaining here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
likewise.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we mentioned obviously Mercedes Monet. She lost to Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship, but she still has her TBS title and in like seven others. But at Forbidden Door, she will be defending her TBS championship against Alex Windsor, Persephone, and one talent from Stardom. You mentioned TBD. We still don't even know who's going to be competing in the qualifier for Stardom. So at the time of recording this, we have three competitors confirmed, and Stardom is completely up in the air. I will say, if there's any place where Mercedes could lose, it would be a multi-woman match. We saw that with the New Japan Strong Women's Championship when Mina got pinned, and Mercedes lost her title then. So if there's any place for her to lose and kind of still protect her, it would be in a four-way. But with that being said, I don't foresee her losing back to back. But like you said, it could be the curse of Tony Storm. This could be the beginning of her losing all of her titles. But I just don't foresee her losing back to back. But the possibility is there for sure.
I think the most interesting story for Mercedes is her losing her championships one by one.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the TBS title should actually be the last one, though. But I think that is the most captivating story for her, because then when otherwise, if she's just holding on to all these titles, then that's fine. For all these indie companies, she very clearly does incredible business for them.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about from a story perspective, I think that's the best option. I do think that she wins this, though. I think it was just a way for them to make this a little bit more Forbidden Door-ish.
Yeah. I wish that we knew who the stardom. There's so many talents. She squared off with a bunch of them. I kind of want a fresh face in there that we haven't seen on AEW programming, or like very rarely. Alex Windsor is obviously going to be in her home turf in London, so she's obviously going to be getting a big pop. I love that we're getting CMLL again. Just don't know who that stardom person is, but I am in agreement. Her losing the TBS title last, I feel like would be full circle, kind of telling the full story of it all. And like I said, I just don't foresee her losing back to back. But with that being said, it is a multi-person, so she doesn't have to get pinned to lose. So there's that possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing that people look at, and naturally, if she loses that way, that'll get people riled up
Yeah.
in general.
I kind of want to see her have this like meltdown though. Like that would be great TV. Like
Sure.
her losing the title and then her going on this angry rant about how she didn't get pinned. That's something that they could explore. But I think right now, not that she needs a win, but it's very rare that she loses back to back. Actually, she's never lost back to back in AEW, so that would be a first. But I think she's going to retain here as well. I also believe that the TNT champion, Kyle Fletcher, is going to be retaining his title against Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu just returned, obviously, tag action last week. I think he's a good opponent for Kyle, but it kind of feels like it's just for the sake of the Forbidden Door aspect, personally. I think it's gonna be a good match, but for me, I feel like this is the one that I feel probably the most confident in the winner of Kyle Fletcher retaining, considering he like just got the title, and I feel like you want to keep him looking strong.
Yeah, Kyle Fletcher is so very clearly one of the top guys. Your boy reported on FightfulSelect.com that he signed a new deal, big money deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they very clearly have some things in
Yeah.
mind for Kyle Fletcher. And I think that him spearheading this TNT title is a great idea. Originally, when Dustin won that title, a lot of people were like, "Ah, man!" And then you look at it and you're like, "Okay, well, he's having double knee surgery. He's going to be out for over a year, probably." He got a great moment in Texas, and it led to a very good short-term program where Kyle Fletcher won and had some great moments there as well. So I think they increased the profile of that title while doing that. And Hiromu Takahashi is not going to win this title, but it's a fine Forbidden Door match to put on here. I do think that the concept, when you look at this and some other matches, you're like, probably should switch a title or maybe not do this show for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I'm looking at I didn't realize this heading into it, but I have no titles changing at Forbidden Door. How I'm
As
and
is
now granted
tradition.
there still might be more title matches added at some point, like on the pre-show or something. The card is not complete. We only have 9 matches. We're not at double digits yet, which is like a rarity for AEW. So that, needless to say, there could be other matches added. But as I'm looking at this, I don't have any title changes happening. Um, including also the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I am very happy to see Nigel McGuinness back in
Me
the ring.
too.
I think it's going to be a great pop for the people. And if there's any place to bring him out, Forbidden Door is the place. He has history in other companies. He's going to have Daniel Garcia in his corner, so that could play into that. But if you're going to have any like I guess non AEW talent win a singles match, it would be Zack Sabre Jr. Didn't he? I think he beat Orange Cassidy. Was it last year or the year before that? Um, so I think he's going to do it again. He's going to emerge victorious and retain his title, and he won it back not too long ago too as well. In his second reign. So I don't think that they would have him lose to Nigel. I think Nigel is
Yeah.
lovely. I think it's going to be better than people expect, especially because Nigel is still not a full-time performer. I think it's going to be really fun, but I think this is going to be the one where the non-AEW talent in a singles match wins.
I seriously would have no problem if they were like, "Hey, Nigel, you're going to win the title," and then he loses it back almost immediately.
Oh, I'd
This
be okay
is,
with that too.
and I think Zack Sabre would probably be okay with that,
Hmm.
considering Zack Sabre was probably inspired by
Hmm.
Nigel McGuinness. But this is the first time that Nigel McGuinness has had a one-on-one match in the UK since 2011.
Wow.
He did the all-in gauntlet and all that, but
Yeah.
he hasn't wrestled in the UK in a one-on-one match since 2011. That's insane because sometimes you forget just how long he was out of the ring. And man, he looks great physically. Like he looks like a world champion physically. And I like that in the year since he's come back, because it was August 25th last year,
Yeah.
this will be his sixth match that he's done. So like he is a semi-active wrestler at this point. Like we've got to see him face Brian Danielson, Lee Moriarty. He did the thing with FTR, and then he won the collision match to set this up, which I love. I love that they did that, and they were like, okay, well, we got to get him a win because he hasn't won since he's been back.
It's
I would
true.
just, I would just kind of like to see him pop up here and there and win a match occasionally. Like go back and forth with a few of these. That way you can slot him into stuff like this. Because to the AEW, New Japan, and formerly ROH audience, he is the type of celebrity wrestler that they're like, oh, okay, well we can get excited for this. We can enjoy this because the match this weekend was a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
Zack Sabre's winning. He's gonna win.
Yeah. And Nigel is going to get that hometown pop, though. He is from London, so I
Yes.
feel like the O2 is going to blow the roof off of that place for him. I don't know how much involvement Daniel Garcia is going to have in this. I don't know. I don't even know if he'll be a factor really that much. But like you said, I like the idea of Nigel winning it and then like losing it right on Dynamite or Collision like the week after. That would be, he gets that hometown pop, that moment and then loses the title short. Kind of similar to what they did with Soraya, where she won at All In a couple years ago and then lost the title like maybe a month later, 3 weeks later. They could do that. But I think you kind of need, I mean, you don't need anything, but I feel like you kind of need at least one New Japan person winning a singles match here. So I think if that's going to be anybody, it's going to be Zack Sabre. But I do love the idea of a Nigel McGuinness like 4 day title reign, 3 day title reign. Especially in 2025. I mean, we've seen Chris Jericho in his 50s. We've seen Adam Copeland and Christian Cage hold championship gold in their late 40s slash early 50s. So we'll see what happens. We do also have, though, the AEW Tag Team Championships on the line. Again, like the TBS Championship, we still don't know the exact competitors because you have FDR and Brodito facing off on Dynamite to determine who is going to be facing the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Yes. The Hurt Syndicate kind of shifts between babyface and heel. I feel like it could be I mean, I don't know. I feel like they shift. The crowd loves them, but I don't know.
That's some of the source of frustration within the roster
Hmm.
is that these are heels that get cheered who
Yeah.
babyface people. The crowd chants their music. They slap five, but they're heels that beat everybody up.
Yeah.
It's a confusing approach for the rest of this tag division.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm like they could face either FTR or Brodito in my mind. I feel like the fresh option would be Brodito because they're kind of a newer tag team and they've been doing some really cool stuff. But also you can't count on FTR. I feel like whoever faces them though, loses personally. The Hurt Syndicate has been so strong. I don't even know, kind of like a Tony Storm, I don't even know who the Hurt Syndicate loses to at this point, to be honest. They could throw us the curveball and it could be Brodito winning championship gold and giving us something fresh. But I think for right now, I feel like there's nobody glaring that I can see beating the Hurt Syndicate. So I think regardless of who they face, I have them retaining. I don't know what you're thinking though.
I am thinking that Brodito and FTR go to a non-finish,
Mm.
and we end up seeing a triple threat tag match. FTR end up pinning a member of Brodito as to not pin Hurt Syndicate,
Mm.
and FTR carry the championships into Toronto, where they lose to Cope and Christian in the main event of AEW All Out. That's what I am
Mm.
predicting.
You know what? I kind of like that idea. Um, I mean, we'll talk about that match in a minute because I mean, we'll talk about Cope and Christian in a second. I kind of like that. I think you did just sway me. Would it be for the AW? I feel like you could run FTR versus Cope and Christian without tag titles, but having tag titles makes it more fun and more sweet for the moment. Cope and Christian, I assume, get
Yeah,
the win in their hometown. You could do it without tag titles, but that would be a way to kind of protect the Hurt Syndicate and them losing the titles without even having to get pinned. Kind of like your idea. I think you just swayed me. Now we could
yeah,
be
I
absolutely
think it's a good
wrong.
idea. I'm just saying, it's a great idea.
Well, we will be finding out tomorrow. This is going to be released before Dynamite. We could be completely wrong by tomorrow night.
Yes,
And then it's just 2-on-2 tag match. But I do love the idea because it protects the Hurt Syndicate. It gives Brodito, I feel like, because it's not often, especially nowadays, we get to see like Brody King, especially on like AEW pay-per-view. Um, so I would love that. Um, we'll see what happens. I think if it's 2-on-2 though, I think Hurt Syndicate retain. If it is that triple threat, yeah, I can absolutely see FTR pinning Brodito and to keep the Hurt Syndicate protected. It just depends on what happens tomorrow. So in that
Mhm.
scenario, we'll see what happens. But you mentioned Cope and Christian for the first time since 2011. They are going to be teaming together against Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne. Now, call me maybe crazy. I think Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne are winning this one because I think Cope and Christian are going to get the big win in Toronto. Um, now, how that happens, I don't know. Maybe Mama Wayne distracts them or something, or Stokely's probably going to be lingering somewhere too, for
Yeah,
all we know.
probably.
But especially because Cope and Christian have preached that they have been wanting to work with newer talents and want to put them over. I think they would want to put over Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian and to set up for the big moment in Toronto. I think that's where they're going to get the win. So I think as in Cope and Christian are my guys, but I think I have to go with Nick Wayne and Kip for this one to set up for the big win for Cope and Christian at All Out next month.
I don't hate that idea.
Mm.
I do think that if the tag titles are on the line next
Mm-hmm.
month, I think they got to win
True.
leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that Christian, a big part of the delay in this angle was him wanting to really establish Nick Wayne. Like
Yeah.
that was something that was very, very important to him. And I don't know if he would feel like this is part of establishing him or not, but it would add a more interesting wrinkle as long as they reckon with that before whatever it is they're doing with the tag titles. But it would certainly simplify things for some people, and then Hurt Syndicate could just keep the titles, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure they would love that, but I got to go Cope and Christian. I got to go the safe bet here.
I think if the AEW if say the Hurt Syndicate retains, I think this would be the place where FTR get involved and cost Cope and Christian, and that
Yeah.
sets up FTR versus Cope and Christian without the AEW Tag Team Championships. But I do kind of agree if FTR are walking out of Forbidden Door with the tag titles, then Cope and Christian probably should win. So it's kind of dependent on a few things. But I think if we're going to into All Out without tag titles around FTR, then I think they cost Cope and Christian, and Nick and Hip get the win, especially with, like you said, Christian wanting to get Nick Wayne over. I think he would be willing to take a loss, and it also furthers their story in the meantime. So I guess it just depends of does I guess it literally depends then on what happens tomorrow on Dynamite for this AEW tag title match. But there are a few scenarios that could play out between then. It's just dependent. I'm excited though. Cope and Christian. Also, Christian seemed a little bit, I don't know if you saw, Christian seemed a little bit hesitant on that hug. So that's going to be a test
Yes.
of are they truly together, or is Christian kind of playing? I don't think they would be playing, especially with Toronto right around the corner. But I want to see if they can actually work together. We'll see what happens though. And that leaves us to, at the time of recording this, one match left. Like I said, there'll probably be 4 or 5 more added after this. But we have Hangman Adam Page defending his AEW World Championship against MJF, the winner of the Men's Casino Gauntlet. He is officially cashing in his contract for this title match. He didn't goad Adam Page into a title match without having to cash it in. Page actually flipped a script and got MJF to cash it in. A little bit of uncertainty, but I would think that AEW would not want Hangman to lose his title so soon after defeating the God, just I don't need the force that was John Moxley, this dark cloud over AEW that was John Moxley. I would think they would want to keep the light for a little bit longer. Um, so I have Hangman winning, but also it's MJF. He's going to be pulling out that diamond ring for sure.
That's so. I mean, MJF is doing really good work with his promo
Hmm.
stuff right now, and I can't. I don't think you can take it off of Hangman right
Yeah.
now because one, AEW is about to be very thin on the babyface side. If Swerve is hurt and
Oh
Omega is
yeah.
still not full time back and Osprey is
Hmm.
still hurt, they've got their top guy on top. You need to run through the gamut of heels right now.
Yeah.
So I think that they actually need to develop some more top level baby faces, and I think that that plays into Hangman's favor an awful lot, and he ends up winning. Plus, MJF has still got a thing going on with Mystico. Like he's got things that are actually bigger than this going on right now. Like the
Hmm.
Mystico feud is like one of the biggest things in Mexico right now.
Yeah. Hmm. That's true. And I mean, I don't know if he's completely done with the Hurt Syndicate. I feel like there's more I don't know, it just felt really short to me, but that's a whole
Yeah,
other I feel like it shouldn't be done so soon. But I don't know. I just think, man, what was the point of MJF winning this though if he's just like going to lose and then just move on to Mystico? It seems like a short thing. But then
I
again, like you
agree.
said, um if uh if there's gonna be not that there's a people hurt. So I do agree though that they need to sharpen up some more and build some more baby faces, top baby faces, especially if assuming some people may be out or slash hurt. um the death do you think the Death Riders get involved in this at all, because they still feel like they have some unresolved business with Hangman?
I don't because I think they will all have been taken out from that cage
True.
match by then.
True,
Yeah,
that's true. Although I will say Wheeler Yuta is not wrestling in that. Marina
true.
Shafir could, I don't know. Oh yeah, do you think Willow and Marina, I feel like Willow and Marina should get involved in that lights out steel cage match.
I think they will. I think they will.
Maybe Chris Statlander. I don't know. I don't. You've been seeing this stuff with Chris Statlander and John Moxley. I don't even know if that's going to lead to anything, but that's something that I have in the back of my mind as well. Could she
Yep.
be aligning with the Death Riders? I feel like though they just worked so hard to get her back to babyface position and her trying to make amends with everybody that like she did
Yeah.
all that work for nothing. Then if she did that,
Yeah, I'm interested in where that's going, and I think that we will. I think honestly, a lot of like who AEW brings back that has been on the bench or hurt, um, is going to determine what they do with Chris if they haven't
Mhm.
already decided, because we're going to see how a lot of the women's division sort of aligns there.
Yeah. Do you now, like I said, there's only 9 matches confirmed. Do you think we get maybe a trios championship added, or do you foresee any other matches potentially getting added in the next couple days?
I think we will see a trios match get added.
The
Yeah, I
ops.
think we'll
Okay.
definitely, because 9 is very small for
Yes,
this for
yeah,
AEW.
yeah. Sometimes we get some ROH stuff on the pre-show, the
Yeah.
countdown show, but I feel like if they're gonna add any other to the main card, it'd probably be the trios with the ops. Now, who they would face, I don't know, because a lot of those potential trios opponents are involved in tag matches or the steel cage match. So I don't know who they could potentially be facing. But I feel like if they're going to add anything, it'd probably be that. But like I said, at this time, there's 9 matches confirmed. We got Hangman Adam Page retaining in our books, Timeless Tony Storm retaining, potentially the AEW Tag Team Championships changing hands, but again, that's dependent on what happens on Dynamite. I feel like there is maybe a little bit more give and pull of uncertainty in this. It's not just going to be AEW running through the entire like New Japan and CMLL and Stardom rosters. There's a little bit more uncertainty, but I will say not by much. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I listen. I'm excited for the show because it's an afternoon show. I'm sure it will
Yes,
go
the best part.
long. Raw is in the afternoon next week as well, so
Mhm.
a lot of afternoon wrestling coming up that I'm very excited about.
And the week after too, for Clash as well. And
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right.
so a lot of afternoon wrestling for us, United States based viewers. But in the meantime, like we said, Forbidden Door is going to be taking place from London this Sunday. There's going to be more matches added. Sean, thank you so much for joining me here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's always wonderful. I mean, I talk to you every day, but
Yeah.
it's always great to talk to you on camera as well.
Of course, let the people know where they can find you and support Fightful Select.
Fightful.com. We got a bunch of free stuff over there, more than any wrestling website in the world. And FightfulSelect.com is where all the news gets reported that you eventually see everywhere. And then I have to correct because they aggregate it incorrectly.
I will say I try my best to aggregate your stuff correctly. You've
You do
never
it
had to
well.
reach out to me to correct
Never.
anything. So I think I'm
You're,
doing a pretty okay job.
you're about the only person, to be honest with you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being here for some Forbidden Door matches. We'll have to have you back again soon. But in the meantime, I'm very excited for Forbidden Door, obviously. We also have Dynamite still coming up. More matches are probably going to be added, but in the meantime, check us all out. Sean, thank you so much again for joining me.